Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining the Iowa Farmers Market Association board today as we offer our annual workshop to you as a virtual experience. This is Donna, and we hope you benefit from the 4 workshop sessions. Please submit any questions that you have to our website, iowafarmersmarkets.org. That's iafarmersmarkets.org, or to Marie Boyd. Her email is marie@healthyharvestni.com. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and get ready to prepare for market season 2021.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Donna. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm Kelly Foss. I serve on the board of the Iowa Farmers Market Association, and I'm also the director of the Downtown Farmers Market here in Des Moines. Our topic for today's workshop is online sale platforms with farmers markets. You know, we think about farmers markets and we picture an open air street market, farmers with their fresh produce and eggs and honey, you know, where people gather to shop for groceries while connecting with their community. And unfortunately, this year with the pandemic, it really caused many farmers markets to either close or open in a different way and pivot in a way that they really never imagined, like selling their farmers market fresh food online. And so many markets have just been so amazing, and they found ways to reinvent how they connected their farmers with customers that are really hungry to support local producers in all of our communities. And so if you've dove into the idea of taking your farmers market online, you know that there are so many options, and your kind of head can start swirling with all the different online options out there and all the resources really out there in the online world. So during this panel, you will meet 5 farmers market leaders who represent large farmers markets, small farmers markets, mid-sized farmers market, indoor farmers market, and each is going to share a bit about their farmers market and discuss how they took their market online. And then we'll answer some questions and really see if we can get some pro tips from them throughout the conversation. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Marie Boyd, and she is with Healthy Harvest of North Iowa. And Marie, if you'd like to share your screen, you can take it away.
Great, thank you, Kelly. Let me just pull my slides up. You can see that. And I actually work on behalf of Healthy Harvest of North Iowa, which is a local nonprofit, but we also partnered this year with 2 local farmers markets to launch our curbside market program that I'll talk about today. As I said, Healthy Harvest is a small nonprofit here in North Central Iowa. We work to connect and educate in support of the local food system, and we partnered with a couple markets to launch this program. We actually were fortunate to have a farmers market promotion program grant going into this year, which I recognize is a very unique situation. But we did that to launch what we named curbside markets. And this past year in 2020, we partnered with 4 markets to do that. We also worked with some key partners at our local food hub called North Iowa Fresh, as well as our partners over at the University of Northern Iowa, their local food program there. So the markets we worked with were Clear Lake Farmers Market, the North Iowa Farmers Market in Mason City, College Hill Farmers Market in Cedar Falls, and the Waterloo Urban Farmers Market. And then in year 2 of our project, we're bringing on the Cedar Falls Farmers Market as well. So you can tell there's lots of different size markets, different community bases that we're working with in this project. And we worked with Local Food Marketplace as our software platform. We did that because that is what our food hub North Iowa Fresh uses. So we had that experience and knowledge of that platform, as well as some of our vendors that sell through the food hub as well as farmers markets were already comfortable in that space. So that was where our decision making came from. We also did do some research as far as the other platforms that you'll hear about today, and recognize there's other great options out there, but Local Food Marketplace worked for us. Some of the goals in our project included increasing the number of farms utilizing the system and online sales, reaching a broader base of audience, knowing that especially with COVID-19, there are a lot of customers looking to shop online for various reasons, and knowing that that was a market space that local food and food in general purchasing was moving into. And in general, wanting to support the success of our farmers markets, because we know that, again, folks are shopping online. We want our farmers markets to be competitive in that space, and also be in partnership with the markets, not doing anything in competition with them, but definitely lifting them up. So those were our key goals. I mentioned local food marketplace. We did have 2 different systems, just so folks know that we have one in the Mason City, Clear Lake area and the Waterloo, Cedar Falls area, because multiple markets in one system can be confusing. So if anyone's looking at that, definitely would love to share some knowledge on working with multiple markets in one system. This, while I'm talking, you can at least see just like what it looks like. We have a landing page that you can go to learn about Curbside Market, and then a button that'll then drive you to shop the local food marketplace site. And there, on a weekly basis, you know, we would send folks emails to go in, search the different products. You could see what farm they were from, which was a key piece that we liked, and I know that's available on other platforms as well. But that was a key part as far as making sure that connection from the vendors went directly to the customers and letting them see what products are available currently. It also does let you create a cart, similar to like an online shopping situation in any other space, that you can select your items, do one quick checkout, which was important to us to make it user-friendly for the customer, and then be able to, again, like I said, shop from multiple vendors at once. We had some requirements for vendors to participate. You know, they had to agree to be a paid member of the market. Of course, we didn't want anyone participating in only the online sales, but to be an active member of the farmers market. Had to agree to have liability insurance. I know that's a large discussion of markets in general. Agree to be a part of our pricing structure, because as I'm sure you'll hear, these systems aren't necessarily cheap, and they also take a lot of time to coordinate. So we do charge an extra percentage on top of the farmers market costs, and pass that along to the customer as we don't do it as a convenience fee, we just build it into the price across the board. So that's something that we decided. And we also asked that any vendors that participated in our program sign that they would not create another multi-farm online sales competition at the specific farmers markets we were working at. So, you know, we all do better when we work together. So trying to make sure that's the case. And highly recommended, of course, any of those food safety compliance pieces, just because knowing that customers who might not be familiar with farmers market, might not be familiar with some of these vendor bases, you know, we want our customers to always be able to enjoy the high quality of our products that they're getting through these systems. I have a lot of details here, so I'm not sure exactly how far you want me to go into this, but you can see our weekly schedule here as far as the flow, and we learned this throughout the season, but vendors posting their product availability as best they could, understanding that not everybody knows, but I recommended that they do 4 to 5 days in advance, because then customers would open for shopping that 3-day before the market timeframe to shop up until 24 hours before the market opened. So the customers could get in there and shop from the vendors. Then we had it cut off at 24 hours in advance. The customers get their pick tickets or an email in their email to state what has been purchased from that individual vendor, so they knew what to bring to market, and then whatever it is, they would just pass that off to our curbside market on-site coordinator to get aggregated for sales and then go on their way. So we tried to make it really user-friendly for our vendors, but also knowing that it didn't always go as smoothly as we would love, because we did ask for folks to drop off their products at least 45 minutes before the farmers market would open, which created some chaos at times, but for the most part, it did okay, because our vendors obviously had to set up for themselves at market, so it worked. And then our curbside coordinator would then aggregate those those products and orders together and then deliver curbside to folks when they drove up or walked up, as they so choose, to pick up their orders. And then we did implement something mid-season to make sure that our vendors knew they could drop off their products in reusable containers and get those containers back at the end of the day. So trying to decrease some of that waste associated with the online sales as well, which I know is a concern of both vendors and customers. So plastic bags we didn't necessarily return, but if they had a tote or something like that that they wanted to use, we could return that. We all know winning over vendors is a fun experience. So we had some fun times as far as explaining to our vendors the value of the system, because our farmers markets were fortunate enough to be open. So there was a lot of experience with vendors not wanting to necessarily move into the online sales platform because they were having such a great market season with the increased demand of folks looking to shop locally, which is fantastic, don't get me wrong. But we did experience some of that, and just having the shared understanding of wanting to have as many vendors in the system as possible. And the consistency of, if it's a bad weather day, it creates an opportunity for our vendors to be able to have pre-sold product, our customers to be able to shop without getting drenched at the farmers market, and all of the things that can come with that, as well as obviously in times of a pandemic like COVID-19. We also obviously have the online credit and debit exception, which is nice, and additional marketing for the farmers market across the board. So you can see here some of our promotion methods that we utilized. We had like a rack card, we had a texting service we used, lots of social media promotion and on-site promotion as well, which we're working on as far as our marketing plan going into this year. As far as our lessons learned from 2020, man, there's a long list of those, right? But we went with our decision to expand on an existing system with our food hub, and learned that we did want actually a separate system, just because the complexities that exist with a food hub, there are many, as well as trying to then integrate a farmer's market in there. It's a cleaner experience for us to be able to have the farmers markets like we had in the Cedar Falls, Waterloo area, just on their own platform. So if anyone's thinking of that, I recommend having your own system. We learned to work within the state regulations as far as what those all look like, with different products being able to be sold and having our vendors on site, which is some challenges we learned. Again, motivating vendors is always the fun part, making sure they're on board and have a buy-in to the system. Figuring out that right margin on top of the pricing can be a challenge. And in general, just like having a new system is hard for people. So whether it's customers or vendors, making sure that it works for everybody, that the customer has a sleek, fun experience, but knowing that there's challenges associated with that too. And then finally, that we love our farmers market customers because they love coming to farmers market. So some people just love to feel and pick things out, and that's great. And there's some customers you're just not going to win over with an online system, and that's okay as well. So knowing all of those pieces going into 2021 is important. I'm going to skip over the slide, but we can talk about COVID-19 at length as far as the impact it had on farmers markets. So just going into this year, we're excited to bring in a new farmers market in Cedar Falls. We're definitely evaluating from our experience in 2020, and are so thankful to learn from a great panel here as far as other ideas, but definitely trying to build off the feedback that we got from customers and vendors in 2020. And in general, we are looking at adding EBT and SNAP acceptance, as well as double up food bucks into our system this year, knowing that you can't, of course, accept online payment for those, but trying to make sure our system can allow for ordering and then on-site swiping of those cards. So I'm excited to hear if anyone else has better experience with that, but we're all growing and learning together. So look forward to a great new season with Curbside Market. And then these are our team members that we worked with. So that's Curbside Market, and I will pass it over back to Kelly.
Excellent. Thank you, Marie. That's really thorough, and you just make it really all look so easy. So thank you for sharing those experiences. So I just have a question. So it looks like your platform really has lots of options and lots of things it can do. So knowing what you know now, if you could add a new feature to the online platform that you're using, what would that be? What is it missing?
That's a really great question. Honestly, one piece that we added that I think would be lovely if it went right through the system was a text message reminder.
Oh, great.
Because I know personally, I struggle with, remembering, and emails can get lost or buried or in the spam or anything like that. So figuring out how to conveniently remind customers in a way that especially goes right to their phone would be a piece that I would want to add directly in.
Yeah, I love that. Great. Thanks for sharing. What feedback did you receive from your vendors after they started using your platform? Did they change any thoughts from beginning to where they are now?
Yes, I mean, I will admit, and just like many people, especially last year, we had that delay in the season where I wish last year we could have started our platform a little earlier.
Yes.
Honestly, going into 2021, now it's February, we're already building our system and wanting to get our vendors in. So I think we did hear feedback when we were trying to get vendors in the system in May and June that it was just a lot to take on, getting their profiles built, different products allocated, and pricing and all of that. So I think the earlier that you can get your vendors in the system, the better. In general, our vendors liked it once they were in there, and they thought it was pretty easy to like roll over their availability. And once it was set up, it was great, but there was a little bit of that learning curve that definitely exists.
Yeah, I think we all experienced a bit of that. Thanks so much for all your sharing all of your experiences. So next up, we're going to hear from Kendra Vincent, and she is with the Grinnell Farmers Market. All right, Kendra, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. And welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. So Grinnell Farmers Market went with a platform called grinnelltogo.com this year, and we had lots of ups and downs, as I'm sure many people did. So I'm excited to share some of the different things that we learned throughout this program. So to start, though, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Grinnell Farmers Market. So Grinnell as a community has a population of about 9,000. We run May through October twice a week, Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays we have about 30 vendors, and Saturdays we have about 10. And then we're also a producer only market. So we only allow products that are made or grown here in Iowa and must be made or grown by a vendor or their immediate family to be sold at market. So as we looked at the 2020 market, we typically, like I said, start in May. We pushed the starter market back about a month. So we started June 4th. We plan to still do an outdoor market, but we wanted to offer an online option. We have a large number of retired folks who visit the market every year. And we were nervous that they weren't going to feel comfortable coming out in public. So despite all of our COVID precautions we were still taking, we wanted an online option for all of our vendors and customers, but we also really needed it to be a cost-effective option. So the farmers market is managed by the Grinnell Chamber of Commerce, and along to help some of our other businesses in the community, we worked with a local programmer to develop this Grinnell to Go website. And so we thought that would be a really good fit to just, slip our market vendors in there and kind of do all of Grinnell business in one convenient spot for everybody. So what worked? Well, first of all, it did give us an online option to be able to sell through. It was a really simple upload process. It's just a little form that you fill in to get your products up there. You can do a little bit of dynamic pricing as opposed to, having one price. We were able to offer it for free to all of our vendors who were a full-time vendor for the season. Our vendors that came once or twice a season did need to pay a small fee to be able to be listed. But otherwise it was able to be a free platform. So it was really cost effective for our vendors to participate in. Vendors got an automatic notice of when orders were placed, both from the website and then also from Stripe, which is the credit card processor we used. And then it also did allow for folks to pay online and then just pick up at market. So those that didn't want to spend a lot of time out in public really got to limit their time here at market. What didn't work? So you had to have an email to have a profile on the site to either place an order or to be a vendor. And we have probably, 20% of our vendors don't have an email address. So that was something we really found challenging. Fortunately, most of those vendors were comfortable with showing up and being at market in person, and just decided not to go the online route. So that ended up, not being as big of a challenge as we anticipated, and they were fine with not participating, but that was something that we really hadn't, considered would limit part of our audience there. We also had overlapping cutoff hours for orders. So since our market runs Thursday and Saturday, and we have vendors that go to both markets, to be able to not have them, upload all of their product twice, we had to kind of manipulate our cutoff hours to give them 24 hours advance notice, but then to turn them back on so they could still be noticed or ordered for Saturday. That got to be really confusing, to the point where we just ended up leaving it open all of the time and just had a warning that said, this will be available at the next market if placed, less than 24 hours before the next market. So that was one of the things we really hadn't anticipated, being that big of an issue. We also had limited participating vendors simply because it was a new technology. A lot of our farmers are older and utilize Facebook maybe if they're comfortable with it. So trying to learn a whole new website and program for that just really wasn't in their wheelhouse. So again, we were fortunate. Many of them felt comfortable being at market in attendance with our COVID precautions, but it did, that was a limiting factor for what we were able to list. We did also have some pickup confusion the first few weeks. We had initially said we would congregate all the orders at our card reader table. And then, so all the vendors brought their products to us, and then all of the customers went to the vendors booth to pick them up. So trying to get that message through was kind of sticky. And we ended up actually transitioning to just having customers pick their orders up at the vendors. A lot of our vendors have these great big signs, like you can see, top of the hill nuts. So it's maybe a little bit easier to find, or they already know where they're going. So it still helps limit that time, but they had a better eye marker for where they were going to go pick up their products. Our website did not initially offer a stock availability. So if you had 3 strawberry pies, you could only list strawberry pies, and you had to keep an eye on, if I sold 3 of them, I need to take that option down. So when you have like 50 spaghetti squash, it's not necessarily a huge deal, but when you have very limited numbers, that was an issue. So that was immediately one of the things our vendors kind of gave us feedback on. And we were able to get that adjusted towards the end of the season. And then the other biggest thing that we found is it just really limited your ability to browse. Like I mentioned, we had limited participation from our vendors for a variety of reasons, but that means you don't have everybody at the market online. And that's, what people love about market, is just being able to browse and see all the different products. So really being in an online platform really unfortunately limited part of that. But like I said, we were fortunate our COVID procedures and precautions allowed a lot of vendors to feel comfortable being at market, and then a lot of customers as well. So we also do a winter market, which is the week before Thanksgiving, and typically it's a Friday evening and a Saturday morning. We had planned to host this in person, but since it is an indoor event, and that was about the time Iowa hit its peak COVID numbers, we decided to transition this to only online. So we used this website, and we're able to get all of our vendors uploaded and ready to kick it off before, and we made this transition in about a week. Before market started, we made the decision to move online. So we were pretty excited. We actually had more vendors on for the winter market than we did during the regular season. So it was really exciting to have those additional businesses live up there. So we did a lot more product promotion online. So you can see we've got an example of a Facebook page post we did that linked directly to the product, showcasing what was going to be at market and lead up to market. So that was something, we didn't always have the ability to do, knowing that it was just going to be in person. So being able to actually list these products online and be able to show people what was going to be there before it was live was really beneficial. We also did a Facebook Live, which you can see down here. I have a screenshot of. I jumped on in the afternoon and walked through our whole site with everybody on Zoom, and then we broadcast it on Facebook Live to talk about, who is going to be at market, what products were going to be there, and then how to use the site since it was new for some people, especially since we had new vendors up there. We wanted to make sure, even though it's a very user-friendly platform, we wanted to make sure people were comfortable actually using it. So that worked out really well to be able to do that. And then that, of course, that video stayed live on our Facebook page so people could reference back if they had questions. And lastly, the one really big positive of the winter market is it allowed a longer sale time. So like I said, typically our winter market is a Friday evening and a Saturday morning, and that's it, unless vendors decide to do something else locally or just take orders through message on Facebook. So this allowed them to stay up through the holiday season and actually into the off season. So we've had a few members continue that even up till, like you can see, the last couple of weeks, which has been really exciting to be able to expand and give them another tool to, bring their products to the community. So we've got a couple of our bakers are really big on there right now, promoting their Valentine's Day deals. So to give them an option to still be able to take credit cards and payments online versus having to do that over the phone, or to, even build out their own website. So that's definitely still an option. Like I mentioned, we do have the stock feature now. So like you can see kicking around added a specific option. They had limited number of chocolate covered strawberries. So they were able to set that to sell out and then not offer it as an option once it's done. And then we also added coupons. So that was an option. So if they wanted to do sales, we've had some people do that through their vendor profile. So you can kind of manipulate that a little bit easier than you could previously, or, just doing something on Facebook as well. So this is what our profile looks like from a customer point of view. On the left-hand side here, this is, if you go to grinnelltogo.com, this is what shows up. Typically these categories are all expanded out, but I just wanted to highlight some of our farmers market vendors since that's what we're talking about today. When you would click on this order now, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this, where you've got the business name, contact phone number, and then you'll be able to scroll through all of their products, and then you just click your add to cart. You've got a quantity, and you can include special instructions, for instance, if you want it gift wrapped or something like that. So it's really user-friendly as far as the customer point of view. It makes it a simple process. The only one downfall we have with it is you can only check out from one vendor at a time. So if you want to purchase from multiple, you do need to make multiple transactions through that. But like I said, it's pretty simple, easy, quick process, so it shouldn't take too much time if that was something you were interested in. And then from our vendor point of view, like I said, the back end was a pretty simple form. You log in, you have your controls for your profile. Each business shows up on their own. You can check orders, edit your profile, add coupon codes, products. And then on the left-hand side corner here, we have what a full product listing would look like. So you can see all of your products, edit each individual product profile here in the middle. And then this is what your order form looks like when somebody makes a purchase through your website. So you can see the customer name, contact info if you've got questions. It breaks down all of your fees that may be taken out through that process, and then the actual order items. So like I said, it's worked out pretty well. We found lots of, different issues pop up and make adjustments as we go. We're super fortunate. Like I said, Main Street to me is our local developer, Mike McGuire. They kind of built this platform from the bottom up for us as a community, and then have been able to take it to other communities. So if you're interested, I'd love to get you in contact with them. They did a really great job. They're amazing to work with, and really have been able to give us a product that will be useful for, the next few years for sure.
Excellent, Kendra. Thank you for sharing all your experiences. It sounded like what started out as kind of a bumpy road, you've really smoothed out and really brought along the vendors to help them be able to use the site, and sounds like your customers are all on board. I may have missed this, but I didn't hear, do you plan on using this online platform into this year and into the future?
Yes. So like I said, we've been able to continue that into the off season, and we absolutely want to keep that as an option moving into market this year. Part of the thing we had a couple vendors who were like, hey, I also already have my own site that can do e-commerce through it. And that's great, but we know that's not everybody's situation. And we really just want to make market more accessible to everyone. So if you're not able to come down on Tuesday or on Thursday or Saturday, then you can still purchase online and either swing through and pick it up, or you can schedule a delivery with one of our vendors. So to be able to continue to offer that just creates more accessibility to market. So we are definitely planning on keeping that moving forward.
Excellent. Thanks again for sharing all that great information. We are going to keep moving along. And next up, we have Lydia Zurby, and she's the program manager for the Des Moines Downtown Farmers Market. And so Lydia, with the pandemic, things really shifted quickly. And like everybody else, all markets across the country, you had to make some quick decisions. So if you would like to share your screen and your presentation and just tell us which online sales platform you chose and how you are integrating it into your farmers market.
Yes, I would love to. All right. So first, I just wanted to go over a little bit about the Downtown Farmers Market. Oh, there we go. So the Downtown Farmers Market is located in the historic Court Avenue district in downtown Des Moines. We operate every Saturday, May through October, and we do operate a winter market. Typically, that is held indoors. We do it one weekend in November and one in December. And then over the course of our year, we have about 325 vendors that participate with us, and they represent over 50 counties in Iowa. So the fact that our vendors come from all over Iowa was a really important factor for us in choosing what platform was going to work best for our vendors and our market. And typically we have about 20 to 25,000 customers that come to our market every Saturday. So we really, without being able to open a physical market, it was really important to us to find an online platform that we could use to connect our vendors to the market customers. So we started our search for an online sales platform, like I said, before we opened an online, or before opening a physical market. So our goal was to find a platform that our vendors could use to coordinate pickups and deliveries that worked for them on their own terms. So we came up with a wish list for the platform that we were looking for. Some of those things included vendors could set up more than one pickup location. Perhaps they had one in Des Moines and then maybe one closer to where they lived, and then even deliveries. So they could set up a delivery plan for customers to choose. We also wanted vendors to have control over their accounts so they could make changes and edits and additions without the market management being involved each step of the way. We also wanted customers to pay vendors directly, so the market didn't have to be involved in dispersing money, cutting checks, or making payments to vendors. And then we also were looking for a system that it would allow customers to check out individually with vendors. We had looked at a couple different models due to several different factors. We were not interested in a method that would allow, or that would require aggregation. We know that it takes a lot of volunteers, a lot of time, a large space. And then through talking with our vendors, many of them were not interested in participating in a model like that. They really wanted to keep that personal connection with the customer. So we really took that feedback and looked for a method that we could use that did not aggregate. So the platform we ended up using was called Local Line. We found that they met all of the items on our wish list. They have two different models. We chose the market model. They also have a hub model, which is an aggregate model that markets can use. We found that the cost per vendor is minimal, and then markets can decide if they want to pass that on to vendors or just absorb that as an organization. So for the pickup and delivery options, we kind of did it in a couple phases. So our first phase, our online marketplace launched on May 29th. And in this phase, vendors set their own pickup locations and or delivery plans. So they could pick what day worked best for them, what times, and then they could even choose if they wanted to do deliveries. They could set a minimum order, maybe they had a delivery fee, and then a certain area. So the system as a customer, when they sign up, obviously they put in their address and their information, and so they would be able to see which vendors delivered in their certain areas. And then as the summer went on, we were able to open a drive-through market. And so we added kind of a second phase for our online market where the vendors who participated in our drive-through market were able to add that market as a pickup option for customers, which was really great, that customers could order, and then as they drove through, they've already pre-ordered and prepaid for their items, and so they could just pick up as they drove through the market. So the support team for Local Line is super helpful with the setup. They have a really great support team that's very responsive. So we had a really great experience getting the market side of it set up. For vendors, it is a little bit, just like the other ladies have said, it just takes a little bit of work for vendors to upload all of their products. You know, knowing that most of them have other jobs, it just takes time getting all of those things uploaded. So for them, it was a little bit more work. So here's an example of what the accounts look like when a customer views a vendor page. So you can see there's the contact information on the top. They have their products listed, the price, there's quantity and a description. You can click on each product individually. And then on the vendor side, quantity is all tracked. You can set up alerts, the vendors can, so that when they get low on a certain product, they'll get an alert. But it's really customizable on both the customer side and the vendor side. And it's, I think, a really great outward facing page. It just looks really professional and like a great shopping experience. And then this is what the page looks like on the market side. So our site is not currently live right now, but if it was, you would see suppliers is what they call vendors. So you would see our list of vendors here. Customers can search for vendors by name, so they can view just what one vendor has, or they can search for a product and it will bring up any vendor that sells that certain product. For the customer, when they're shopping, they'll add items to their cart. They can add from one vendor or from multiple vendors. And then as they check out, each vendor has their own payment terms and then their own pickup plan or delivery. So they can choose, the customer can choose whether they want to pick up their items or if they want them delivered. And then they'll check out with each vendor for their payment terms. So some of them will accept credit cards through the site, or some offer they can pay when they get their item, they can pay with cash or like a Venmo or PayPal or something like that. We did integrate with our website. So a lot of our customers and our traffic goes through our main farmers market page. So we had a whole page dedicated to our online marketplace. Since it was new, we really felt like step-by-step instructions was really important. We had team members on our side kind of go through and write out exactly how you check out and how you search and browse. So that was really helpful. And then we also, on our social media, we added the link in the Shop Now section so that if somebody was on our Facebook, they could easily click Shop Now and then get to that online marketplace. So some challenges that we experienced, like I said, we wanted vendors to have control over their sites and be able to make their own adjustments. We found that that's both an advantage and a challenge. Sometimes as we were scrolling through vendor pages, just kind of checking to see that things were set up correctly, we'd find some errors. And then we would have to reach out to the vendor to have them make those adjustments because we would not be able to make them for them. So there was definitely a learning curve, both with vendors and customers, just getting those things set up and getting everything like it should be. And just the different levels, comfort levels with technology. Our vendors are pretty savvy. We have an online application process and they pay online, so they're used to that. But again, it's a whole new system. And so that was just a challenge to get everybody up and going and comfortable with using it. And then, like Kendra said, many of our vendors already had websites and online selling platforms. And so some of them were hesitant to jump on to another site, have to manage another set of inventory and redirect customers. So that was a challenge too, kind of working through those issues. We did feel it was important to have all of our vendors in one place so customers could go to one site. So that was really our message to our vendors that we were really trying to accomplish. The benefits that we saw from using this, Again, customers were able to kind of one-stop shop with our vendors. They didn't have to go to each individual website or selling page. It was really a one-stop shop. Some of our vendors didn't have an online selling presence prior to this, so it was really a quick and easy way for them to come online to sell when we weren't able to have a physical market. And then we do plan on using this platform into the future. We see it being used in conjunction with our physical market. We can encourage customers to pre-order and then pick up on site, and it'll just help expedite their time within our market. And then in addition, vendors can continue to offer their own pickup and delivery time. So they don't just have to use it for picking up on site at a Saturday market. They can continue to have, you know, a Tuesday night pickup at their farm or a delivery plan within their area. So it's a really great benefit for our vendors, not just at our market. So I guess in conclusion, we really appreciated working with Local Line. They were really helpful in a time that they saw an amazing influx of customers, like markets coming to them wanting to come online. And so they were just really helpful and supportive and receptive to both our questions and vendors. And we would definitely recommend, you know, markets looking into them as an option for selling online.
Excellent, Lydia. Thank you so much. The Local Line system, it seems very intuitive. I love that they serve other markets around the country and that they've kind of grown with the need to serve more farmers and more markets, and they're willing to keep growing. So I agree with you. I would definitely recommend people at least taking a look at it. Since you kind of lived it every day and got to work with Local Line and you were working directly with vendors, trying to teach vendors who weren't already, you know, selling online, what would, I guess if you could add a new feature to this online platform, what would that be? Like if you got to just shoot for the stars and dream for something that would really simplify some sticky spot that you experienced.
Yeah, I mean, there's several. I think of the option for payments. I think having an option to integrate more platforms, Venmo, PayPal, you know, even EBT, I know is being tested in some grocery stores to do electronically. I think that was a little bit confusing for some customers who purchased from more than one vendor. Sometimes if they purchased from 5 vendors and they went to pick up, maybe 2 of them accepted a credit card online, but the other ones you had to pay upon pickup. And so it was just keeping that straight. And I think for vendors, it could be a little bit confusing too. So I think if they could integrate with, you know, Venmo, PayPal, and just offer more options for that e-payment, I think that could simplify that process a lot. And I know they're working on it. They're super receptive to feedback from markets and customers. And so that's one thing that I have heard that they're working on as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think that would really simplify things as well. Well, thank you for sharing your experiences and just helping us sort of make decisions about what online platform works best for all types of markets. All right, we're going to hear from our next guest now. And so next up we have Logene Peterson, and Logene's with the Ames Farmers Market. Logene, thanks so much for being here with us. We've learned so much already. And for those that are not familiar with the Ames Market, could you tell us a bit about your market and share how you moved forward with your online platform that you chose?
Sure, thanks, Kelly. So I am Logene Peterson. I work with the Ames Main Street Farmers Market down in our historic part of town on Main Street. And we have about 130 vendors that will full-time and occasional that rotate through the market. And every week, I'd say we have close to 60 plus vendors on the street. And of course, this year, that number was probably cut in half. And a lot of them didn't feel comfortable to join us on the street. But I think we ended up with 30 to 40 vendors rotating through the market every week. But we did choose to go online. And can you see my online market? right now? Okay, great. We decided to go with locallygrown.net, and the major decision for us was budget. We didn't have a budget to do this when this all came out, and we researched several of them, and they're, you know, a lot of them have a lot of upfront costs, and we weren't prepared to do that. So locallygrown.net didn't have upfront costs and provided all the things that we thought we needed to start an online profile. So they charge you 3% of your gross sales. And then of course we opened a Stripe account, and that costs more money, some more fees, but we thought it was all manageable. So as you go down here, just quickly go through, you know, it's easy to set up your own website. They provide all the website for you in the background. And I just needed someone to help me get it set up from our chamber. I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. I work under them. And they have a lot of customizable extras, web blogs that you can do weekly, welcome pages, all kinds of forms and what do I want to say, reports and such that you can print out and customize. And of course, they have different levels, like for the managers, you can get in and you can edit and work with the growers inside the process, but the customers can get on and order very easily. It's unlimited growers. We never got into virtual farm tours. It's very flexible. We also organized it in categories where customers could come in and go to tomatoes and look at all the vendors that had tomatoes, or you could go to the actual farmer's website and say, oh, Dusty Hills has this, this, and this, and you could order from them through that process. But you could, it's very easy to go through and shop, and the vendors had no problems adjusting things as they went, their availability or pricing. It seemed like it was very easy for them. We had minimal problems whatsoever. And then for us, what we decided to do, they offer several different options that you can offer: memberships to your growers, memberships to your customers, or you can a certain percentage of your sales. We chose to charge our growers with a minimal fee for being online with us. And then we also decided to charge our customers a fee, a one-time fee, but we gave them 2 practice orders. I mean, they could order twice on our website for free, and that third time they would be charged a fee for a year-long membership to be shopping with us. And if I was to do that over, I think we might just go to a certain percentage of their sales every week. It might be more manageable and easier. So we didn't do anything with wholesale accounts, but automatic communication, it was very easy to work. If I needed to send out an email to my growers, I could, and it would send it off and everything. Very easy to manage that way. And then of course, like you said, we would open up for Monday morning, close on Thursday evening. And all I would have to do is send out, push a button, and it sent out a email to the growers, what they needed to bring, all their customers. And we did, and it also generated a label here for the growers to use, which we did have them use because we aggravated everything. So we asked them to package each order individually with that sticker on it, so we knew exactly what product went to what customer. So that helped a lot, those labels did. Delivery reports, it would send out reports to remind the customer that they had placed an order and to come pick it up. It had different options for us for online or to pay in person. We kept it very simple, and we required everybody to use their credit cards to order from. Mainly because, you know, I'm a one-woman show here, and we didn't want to have the volunteers be responsible for taking cash or running credit cards. And then plus it was contactless, you know, nobody had to be in close contact to handle the money and everything. So we just kept it simple with credit cards. And really, that's about it. You know, it was very easy. We had very little problems. And if we did, it usually was a back end problem that we handled very quickly. The company was very easy to work with. I did have a couple other pictures here to show you. I'll try to get them. We started our market May 9th, and then 2 weeks later, we started our on the street market. So it kept us very busy. We were lucky to do it inside because our Chamber of Commerce is right within our market. So we did everything inside for our online. And you can see this is just a picture of, we had probably 125 orders on our very first day, up to 179 orders per day. And that went from probably May through the end of June. And it took a lot of volunteers. This was just product that I'd come in early, the vendors would show up, give me their orders. I would try to take them out and alphabetize them and get them on the tables before the shoppers got there. And then once the volunteers show up, they take their bags and an order form, and they go through and they shop them. And then this is the other side of the basement with all the orders lined up. And that's something I think none of us realized. That was one of the challenges. We had no idea how much room this all took, how many volunteers this all took. And, you know, it was a lot of fun. It worked really well for us, but by the end of June and starting in July, it seemed like our market on the street was going really well, and people were starting to use that more. And so by the end of July, we decided to end our online market so we could just concentrate on the street market. And I had very few complaints about that, a couple though. So that was a challenge. It's just, it was a lot we learned, you know, especially when you didn't have extra staff and I didn't get my volunteers organized soon enough, which is something I would start now, like you say, if we were going to do it. But I'm not sure we will do it this year if we can have an on the street outside market. We will probably just forgo this, although I do like some of the other ladies mentioned pre-ordering and picking it up from the vendor at the outside market. Now that might be an idea I'd be willing to check into and see about running, because it would cut down a lot of the extra that the volunteers and the room and all that, those challenges we had. But otherwise it ran very well, and the customers loved it until they could come to the market. So that's kind of the nitty gritty for what we.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing, Logene. I had some questions queued up for you, but you did such a good job answering the questions. One of them was, I was going to ask if you plan to continue to use the online platform, and you answered that very clearly. And I think I'll just mention for our market, I think, you know, if we get to open our market here in Des Moines, I think that we will continue an online sales platform as an option for our vendors. And I think, like you noted, just being able to expedite customers' orders and it would just help them move through the market quicker if their orders were already paid for and packaged up by the vendors. So it's an option to think about to continue, something that probably in 2019 we never would have thought twice about. And so now it's the way of the future, I guess. Anyway, well, thanks so much, Logene. Really appreciate it.
One thing I did want to mention is we kept the online market. So I am having like 4 indoor markets this winter, and I have opened it up for each week that we're having our indoor market to use. So, you know, it's an option to keep it and be able to open it up when you need it, which is a nice option, you know, to have. And people have been taking advantage of it this winter, so.
Excellent. Well, we're going to keep them shopping. Thanks so much, Logene. Really great examples and experiences so far. So thanks so much. We have one market left to explore. We have Lori Beeman, and she is with the Freight House Farmers Market in Davenport, Iowa. All right, Lori, take it away.
All right, what great information we've already had. Let me tell you real quick a little bit about the Freight House Farmers Market. We're located in Davenport, Iowa, but we serve the whole Quad City area. We have about a population of almost 400,000 that we serve. We have, during a year, 280 vendors. We are unique in that we have a year-round indoor market, as well as, believe it or not, we have some outdoor vendors that throughout even the bad weather are still here and setting up outside. Last year, we never really closed down during the whole pandemic. We, in March, when all of this started to happen, that is when we decided, hey, let's start figuring out what we're going to do just in case we are closed down completely. So we started looking into that online platform. So, and what we ended up kind of doing is going with a platform called Gray's Cart. So why Gray's Cart? When we first started, the reason we ended up with Gray's Cart is because we had a board member who was very familiar with Gray's Cart already, was using it on his farm. It had a really vibrant interface, which we really liked. Although this is not set up to do what we are asking it to do, it was for one farm only, and we had to manipulate it some to make it work for multiple vendors. They were very receptive to updates with us and really helped us along the way to make this work for us. In March, when we had realized that the market could be at risk of being closed down, we wanted to move really quickly to make sure our vendors still had a place to sell their product and our customers still had a place to purchase the fresh local products. We moved really, really fast with this. So we controlled the whole process with this from the get-go. So our vendors had to give us all their photos, all their information, and we loaded it up. The cost on this was a little bit less expensive than some of the things we were looking at the time. And primarily we were looking at having somebody kind of write a program for us. So this ended up being a better way for us to go. Like I said, some of the really negative parts about using Gray's Cart, it really wasn't optimized for the user. It lacked a lot of automation. So it didn't have email integrated. It didn't have Drip, a way for us to send out marketing through there. These were all additional things we had to pay for. So even though it might have been less expensive up front, we had all these additional costs in order to make it really function at that higher end that we wanted it to. You know, so it really wasn't a single solution platform for us. And we had to do all the billing on the back end. and make sure that, we paid out all of our vendors. There were some positives to it. Like I said, we were able to pull all the reporting, pull all the things we needed in order to make it function pretty smoothly. But the onus of all of it fell on us, not the vendor. So that was the biggest downfall of that. The interface of it was really, attractive. This is when you would jump on, what you would see had multiple things that you could do. It would kind of tell you how to do it. You could just jump in and shop. You could shop by vendor. We were also able to integrate some things into theirs where if they wanted to themselves look through and connect them to signing up as a vendor at the market, we could go in, and if they just wanted to go by farm or farmer, they could click local favorites and they can go buy their favorite farmer. But that part was really nice about it. Like I said, it had a really vibrant interface. It was the back end that we really struggled with them. If you can see here, kind of the vendor listings. So if you went in by farm, you could go in and we could put their logo. There was a little story almost that we could put on photos from the farmer, some of their information, which was really nice. And then you could look at the product, just the whole entire listing of all our products that were available, or you could break it down and search by particular product or by that farmer. The one thing that I would say that was a struggle for us with vendors, and it was so important, was the quality of photos that they would give you. We were often found that we weren't satisfied with some of the pictures, so we were spending some time working on those, which again was ate up a lot of our time. So that would be the one thing I would say. If you're looking to do this, really make sure you talk to your folks about the quality of their photos as they do it, because that made all the difference in the world. We had people turning in photos where they took a picture of something on next to their dirty laundry. So if you want to learn anything about crazy photos that people will send you, I'm there for you. We were fortunate enough, kind of on the backside, we wrote a grant that offset a lot of our initial setup costs. I'm sorry. So that was really a nice part. We also, since we had the indoor area, we ended up being able to use all of that indoor space to aggregate everything. So what would happen with the orders would come in on Wednesday night at midnight. We emailed them immediately out to our vendors, who then had Thursday and Friday to either fill the order if they were bakers or makers, or know what they were going to need to bring to market on Saturday. We asked them to package them and mark the packaging with the customer's name. And we didn't start our pickups until 2 hours into our Saturday market day. So our markets run from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. We didn't start scheduling customers to do their pickups until 2 o'clock, or until, 10 o'clock. So that gave us plenty of time. If something happened and we were short something from the original vendor, we had a bunch of other vendors that we could make up the difference at. We found that at the beginning that happened often, where they weren't reading something correctly and it said, 2, and they just figured it was 1 and only filled one things. So it was a little bit of a learning curve. And so the beauty of this happening during a market day when we had the ability to scramble a little bit was great until we got that worked out. Um, we did our setups right. We had a red and white striped tent that we set up. We had signs out there for our pickups, and people were able to pull right up. We would walkie-talkie inside to, Joe Smith is here for his pickup. We would pull things from the refrigerator, freezer that were already marked with their name and run it out and put it right into their trunk or backseat of their car. We really push this as curbside, touch-free pickups because we were open during all of this. So these are really centered for people that just did not feel comfortable walking through the market. And at the very beginning, I would say the first month we were averaging 70 to 80 orders every week on average, and that's with our market still being open. As the summer progressed and people felt more comfortable, our numbers kind of went down to now we're kind of at a steady number of anywhere between 10 and 20 a week, which peak on and off during the holidays. It peaked. Right now the weather's horrible, so people are just wanting to do the drive up pickups for that. So our numbers are rising again right now. I think with the governor's proclamation, we've got more people that were feeling like, oh, I'm not going out anywhere again because nobody's going to be wearing face masks. So this week we've seen our numbers eking up again. We pay out our vendors every 2 weeks, less 8%, which covers the credit card fee as well as some additional costs that come back to the market. This is just sort of some photos of our volunteers that we used. We have a really strong AmeriCorps program in the Quad Cities and Davenport, and we were able to get 2 AmeriCorps volunteers that we used that along with one of our market staff took care of this whole program. And so they would begin on Friday, get all the bags and boxes, depending on the side of the order, situated, alphabetized, and ready for deliveries on Saturday. Again, the color coding, so we knew what was coming out of the refrigerator and freezer. It's kind of an idea of this is a bag that came in from one of our vendors, already packed up with items in there, so that all we had to do was put it into the proper box or bag that we had set up. This is just a picture of our signage that we have sitting outside, just so we have 3 spaces during the and our staff I will say in the winter we have another sign that has a phone number on, so we don't make our staff sit outside at 20 below zero. They're able to call right into the market, and then we come out and deliver it. And this is just kind of a look at the one thing that we were able to do, which is really nice. And because we have an indoor market that's open all year round, we were able to take an unused market space and turn it into what we call our market to go spot. And if you're a vendor that's normally an outdoor vendor and you're on market to go, we'll put some of your product inside this space so that those people that are walking through can still purchase some things from the market. In the winter, because we do accept SNAP EBT, it was important that we had a space inside that carried some produce, some dairy, and eggs and some meat products that aren't normally in our indoor market, so that we could have those things available for SNAP EBT, our seed savers. As we look into the future with this, we will keep this. We will keep that online platform because we think, regardless, people are really wanting to be able to order online. It's a convenience factor. Even if they enjoy coming to the market, the beauty of these is it doesn't matter what the weather is. If we have, like right now, it's bitter cold, so that they can, I'll just drive up and pick up my order. In the summer when it's pouring rain or it's 100 degrees out, same thing, where it's just that convenience factor, and they can shop from home on their couch in their pajamas, and pick it up. We'll also, this summer, we'll be looking at it for the pre-ordering. So if they want to not get up at the crack of dawn to be there in order to get strawberries, they can pre-order them from those farmers and get here at noon and still be able to get strawberries that may have sold out. We're looking into delivery service where you can order and the orders will be delivered to your house within a specific area. Market boxes. We also do market meal kits. We've been working with those this year, and those have been really successful. We've only used them for special events. Like we have a market meal kit you can buy right now for Valentine's Day, utilizing all products from our vendors in the market. And then our gal that's our chef in the market does all the recipes and even videos if you don't know how to make something specific. So she's kind of our galloping gourmet. But people are really responding well to that. And we're going to be doing some business deliveries. So, if you work at John Deere, and we might be doing a daily or a once a week delivery to John Deere with some orders that people ordered online. And like I said, then we have a section for chefs. So if you're a chef in a restaurant, that you'll be able to order in volume through here from our vendors. So those are kind of things that we're looking to do in the future on this platform and with our market to go.
Wow, Lori, what great information. It sounds like you've integrated the online ordering platform to really grow with the Freight House market and things you're wanting to build upon. So that's just excellent. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experiences. So it's time to wrap it up. And whether you're part of a large market or a small market, it seems that online buying is kind of here to stay, and at least in many cases. And so I think continuing forward with an online shopping option for farmers markets can really serve to complement the live in-person farmers markets that we all know and love so much. As we always note at Iowa Farmers Market Association, every market is unique and different. There's not one solution that works best for all of us. So that's why we wanted to present a variety of options. And I really hope that these examples and experiences that each market has shared has been helpful. We're just so grateful that these amazing market managers are here with us today. And just thank you for sharing your personal experiences. You're just a really wonderful resource, and hope that your markets grow and prosper, and just really looking forward to seeing how your online platforms are going to work for the future as well. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you for attending the Iowa Farmers Market Association virtual conference. Remember, Iowa Farm Bureau sponsored bags that are available to our membership. Please consider becoming a member. For only $20, you can provide safety to your market customers by requesting the new bags for vendors to use. Visit our website for more information. The sessions will be available on our website, so you can refer to them or point someone to them. Thank you and have a great 2021 market season.